me again. So, why Christianity? Just a little refresher. In the last video, I talked a little bit about how to know God exists. Now we have laid the foundations and established that by using logic and reasoning, we can see with creation itself that God exists. Many of us might think, well, how do you know Christianity is the right faith? Why not Buddhism or Islam? In this video, I would like to talk about what makes Christianity different. First of all, I would like to mention one of the main sources that I use for this video, and that is Ravi Zacharias. Now, Ravi Zacharias is a Christian who specializes in apologetics. For those of you who don't know, apologetics is the defense of one's faith. Having said that, let's continue. Many people think we all serve the same God. I've heard people say we might have different religions, but it's the same God anyway. This is a very common misconception. Let's begin to know how to know what to believe in. Again, no scripture, only logic. According to Ravi Zacharias, there's 4 things that we should use to measure how true and exact our faith is, whatever we may believe in. These 4 things are origin, meaning, morality, and destiny. These, as quoted by Ravi Zacharias, have to correspond to truth through empirical and formal measurement and logical reasoning. So, let's look at three religions today: Buddhism, Islam, and Christianity. Buddhism has a term they call nirvana. This means, and I quote, the highest state someone can attain. It is a state of freedom from suffering and rebirth and annihilation of greed, hatred, and delusion. In this religion, who defines what freedom is? Or how can someone know they have reached full goodness? How can someone know someone is fully good? What happens to the people who don't reach nirvana or are not good? Also, they don't believe there is a God that created everything or that there is a beginning. If we go back to the first of the 4 terms we talked about, origin, then how do we know how the world began according to this religion? And we see that this religion does not solve that problem. And we saw in the last lesson the law of biogenesis. Life arises from pre-existing life. Who or what gave rise to everything? Or in this case, who or what gave life to everything? Let's move on. Islam. So many of us hear the terms Islam or Muslim. Islam is, and I quote, the name of the religion or the faith, and the people that follow it are called Muslims. Again, I quote, Islam literally means submission in Arabic. Now, in one of his videos, former Muslim Nabeel Qureshi talks about his experience. In one of his videos, he states that Islam denies several things about Jesus. And they deny these 3 things. 1, it denies that he died on the cross. 2, it denies that he claimed to be God. And 3, it denies Jesus' death and died. In his video, Nabeel mentions Romans 10:9 that says, if you declare with your mouth Jesus is Lord and believe in your heart that God raised him from the dead, you will be saved. Nabeel states that the Bible verse claims everything that the Muslims deny. Nabeel had a Christian friend, and Nabeel tried to prove that Jesus' death and resurrection was not true. Because of this, in his search for the truth, Nabeel realized how strong the evidence was in favor of the Christian faith. The Islam faith read and obey the Quran. Ravi Zacharias said that the Quran is the only historically claimed document that denies that Jesus Christ died or was crucified. Hence, there is great amount of evidence that states that Jesus did die. The only historical document that omits this idea is the Quran. Christianity includes all 4 concepts and allows them to work in harmony with one another: origin, meaning, morality, and destiny. Let's take a look. Origin. God created the universe. Meaning, Colossians 1:16 says that Jesus is the firstborn of all creation. For by him all things were created. He is before all things, and in him all things hold together. God used him to reconcile us to him, for while we were still sinners, Christ died for us so that we might be saved. Morality. God has given us standards to live by. These 10 commandments are summed up in the 2 greatest commandments, which is love God with all your heart, soul, mind, and strength, and love others as you love yourself. Destiny. For God foreknew, he also predestined to be conformed to the likeness of his Son, that he might be the firstborn among many brothers. And those he predestined, he also called. Those he called, he also justified. And those he justified, he also glorified. This is Romans 8:29-30. His call for us is to get saved. We all have a sense of right and wrong. We all have a conscience. Why? Because we were created in God's image. We believe in justice because we were created in God's image. We see all this murder, corruption, abuse, violence occurring all over the world, and we ask for world peace, for hunger to be satisfied. Christianity is the only religion that establishes justice, gives meaning, and provides a solution. His name is Jesus Christ. Someone once said, "I'd rather die believing there's a God and then finding out there is none, than die believing there's no God and then finding out there is one." Now, salvation is not something unreachable. We are all sinners. We all have lied at one point. We all have cheated. So who will save us from the penalty of death? Christ paid our debt. There is a song that says, "He came to pay a debt he did not owe because we owed a debt we could not pay." They're not my words you should listen to. And as I said in the first video, only God can change your heart. But the chance has been given to you. The free gift of salvation is sitting right outside, just waiting for you. Are you going to take it?